the fifth tip or way to grow your list, which is really we want to talk about improving your forms here. So everybody wants more email subscribers. It would be great if it was super easy to get them. Sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't, but one of the easiest ways to get more subscribers is to start at the very beginning, which is that opt-in form. You know, you got to do the ask like we've already talked about, and then just really tweaking that form once you're asking them for it. So really the most valuable piece of information to an email marketer is that email address, right? We all need that in order to be able to communicate with these folks via email. So we want to make sure that we're making it easy for folks to give us that information. And as you can see from the examples on this slide, some email addresses can just get very long, really long. So it's important to make sure that you allow enough space in the email address input box so that most, if not all, email addresses can fit, you know, no matter how long they are. So we're going to take a closer look at that on this next slide here, kind of talk about, you can just switch to the next slide. Let's see, here we go, perfect, thank you. So a really short input box is bad for everybody, but on this slide, I think this is really a neat visual because it shows the average email address. I think this is actually Fresh Address did this. They found that the average email address was about 21.9 characters long. So you need to ensure you're allowing at least that in your email address input box. But really, to accommodate 80% of addresses, you need that box to display 28 characters. And if you want to get most people, allow for 31 characters. So what happens is, you know, and how we saw in the visual on the last slide where you could only see kind of parts of the email address. Well, now you can see actually, folks can see what they're typing in and they can see if they've made an error. They're not having to try to scroll or wonder if everything's getting put in there properly. So if you want to try to optimize for most folks, go 80, you know, allow for 28 characters. But if you want to try to get everybody, go all the way to 31 characters to be allowed in that input box. Okay. Next slide, please. And then as far as, you know, optimizing your forms. So we've already kind of talked about you want to make it as easy as possible for folks to provide you with their email address. And, you know, hopefully we want to get them to provide other information as well. So it's important to make sure that you're optimizing those online forms and really making sure that you're keeping the forms, you know, simple, easy to provide the information, easy to know exactly what you want the folks to provide. Don't make them guess. Typically, I tell my clients to ask for information that's absolutely necessary on the sign-up form. Maybe do a two-part sign-up. The second part of the form can ask for that additional information, maybe birthday, zip code, things that you might want to use for geo-targeting, or ask for preference data that you might be able to use to send more targeted campaigns, like if, you know, shoe size is important, or, you know, favorite color, or, you know, category of interest, those kinds of things. Those are all great pieces to capture from your subscribers. But we do want to make sure that you don't ask for information that you don't plan on using. Don't ask for information just for the sake of asking for information. Have a plan, be able to turn around and use it to send more targeted and relevant campaigns to your subscribers, and make sure that the submit button is clear and easy to find. You can see here it's a nice bright green, so people don't have to wonder, you know, where it is. I've seen some forms that have really kind of grayed out buttons that look almost white, and it's almost impossible to see. We want people to submit this information and we want to make it easy for them. So, you know, submit buttons that pop. And just in general, I would say the only field that should be required would be email, because that's the most valuable piece of information. So, you know, I've seen forms before where they're having every single piece of information being required, and they're asking for 10 different things. And really, you know, should certain things be required? I mean, really the only thing that you absolutely want to have and need is that email address. Some people might not be comfortable giving their birthday. So, you know, consider fields like that to be optional, and a lot of people will give them. But then some people who don't feel comfortable giving that additional information, at least you can still market them because you have that email address.